Hello and welcome to this user guide for the Uleska platform on managing risk and software security vulnerabilities within the Uleska platform. In this user guide, we're going to show how you can view the risk associated with particular vulnerabilities, how you can administer that and edit it, and how you can configure the risk of overall applications and all teams within your organization. The Uleska platform does this to help you reduce the risk by highlighting which particular vulnerabilities have the highest potential risk in terms of business risk to your organization, help you automatically then prioritize which issues should be dealt with first, and help you prove that that risk has been removed through subsequent automated security tests that implicitly removes that risk and helps you show to auditors and other organizations that the risk has been effectively removed as it has been discovered inside the system. This screen of the Uleska platform is the main application screen. Here we will actually show some of the information associated with one application. If we take the results of the test bank system, you can see that we can manage these systems, the vulnerabilities, based on the risk that they provide. Now, Uleska platform has a number of ways of displaying the risk. This particular system is showing it in business risk or cyber value at risk, which associates different parts of the vulnerability, the application, and the organization, and develops a monetary value for that. That is based on the FAIR Institute from the US, which allows us to take technical issues and put a monetary risk against those. Other ways of displaying this inside the Uleska platform is as red, amber, green, based on the same sort of mechanism and understanding of the issue and the application, based on high, medium, low, based on CVSS, and based on a generic cyber risk score, which is not a monetary value, but a score between 1 and 1,000. Again, all of these ways of displaying and calculating the risk helps you with the prioritization to understand what are the biggest vulnerabilities and biggest risks you have in these applications. So we take one particular issue, we can see the full details associated with it. So again, this is the cyber value at risk calculation based on the FAIR Institute, which takes together a number of different elements and brings out a particular value. As you can see below here, we also have the CVSS number, 7.3, associated with this particular issue, which we could also use to display that information. So a word on how Uleska platform automatically creates these risk values. Previously, systems have taken the technicality of a particular issue and determined the risk from that. So no matter what type of systems it's in, what type of data it's handling, if you have a SQL injection or if you have a CVSS vulnerability, you will always have the same type of risk associated with that because of the vulnerability. So for example, an SQL injection in some system that is internal with no sensitive data and very little users would in theory have the same vulnerability or same risk score as a SQL injection which is externally facing, which is accessing PII and financial data, and which has complete unauthenticated access. Now, risk scores are developing over the years, and the Uleska platform uses the latest versions of risk score to bring together multiple different types of information. The Uleska platform takes specifically the technicality of the vulnerability that has been found by the security tools. It takes the information on the application itself. So if we actually go back to the applications, go to test bank, we can see in the configuration that the application has said how many users there are. Is it an internal or external system? Is it authenticated? And the downtime and restoration costs per day, which all feed into the application level information and context that helps us determine the risk of the vulnerability. Further to that, you can also configure things like the maximum fine, the reputation cost per user, and other elements of that at an organizational level, which allows you then to better determine what an actual breach on this system would cost your business. So to reiterate, that's 3 levels of information put together to determine the risk. The technicality of the bug itself, the nature of the application and the data within it, and the overall organization, its size, its share price, elements like that. So to take any of these particular issues, we can view the details on it. We can also edit the vulnerabilities if we wish to take away some of the risk. So if, for example, we disagreed that this risk should be that level, we can change it to be £700 and we can save. And that automatically then becomes a lower risk, which is stored. This also means that that particular issue, if we have felt as a less risky issue, any subsequent security tests and scans that we perform will stick with that level of risk as long as the issue continues to be identified. So it allows you to long-term manage the risk and prioritizations of the different issues that come across. If instead you wish to take the data element of our risk calculation and modify that, that helps you change the risk. So we look at this particular issue. It is on the edit config URL. If we go to our application, if we go to the system and application in question, if we modify it, if we find the edit config page, we have the ability to specify the affected assets against that page. So right now this one, edit config, only has public information. Now as we know, if we add in personally identifiable information, PII and health data, suddenly a vulnerability on that page can have a lot more regulatory impact. So if we do that, we go back to the system. What we have now done is we have told our Uleska platform that that particular issue has a lot more risk associated with it. And if we, any time from now on, any subsequent scans will automatically provide a higher risk score against that particular vulnerability because of the impact that potential fines could have on that system. However, for this particular scan, since it's already happened and note the risk calculation happens at the time of the scanning happening and the issues being put into our database, we can recalculate existing issues on a per issue basis. So here we have hit the recalculate button and it has increased the value associated with this particular issue because in our other configuration we have now said that particular URL or that source code file in SAS scanning has a lot more risk associated with the data that it handles. So overall, risk inside the system can be configured as you can see. You can set max fines, you can configure response cost per day and reputation value per users, etc. You can even modify the likelihood values based on the different modifiers we have. So for example here, something which is a very high chance of happening would be 0.1 in a year of the likelihood of that occurring. If you wish to change these values, that allows you to modify that as your overall system. If you change these values, that can either apply from this point on for any future scans against any vulnerability, any application or any team inside your system, or you can press the save and recalculate, which historically goes back through all the different security checks you have had on all applications and all teams and resets their security risk score based on the information you provided. That gives you full control over the risk determination coming out, whether it's red, amber, green, whether it's high, medium, low, whether it's value at risk, as we've shown here. It allows you full control over how that impact is perceived for the various vulnerabilities. So you're no longer just counting CVSS or numbers of issues. You're able to make more intelligent decision around the actual impact and risk of those issues so that you can ensure that you're removing the highest risk. You're reducing your risk by the best possible way by removing those highest risk issues as soon as you can. Thank you very much.